All right. Well, welcome to part one of a three-part conversations with drivers, driver support series. This is going to be a little spinoff that we're doing. So I'm your host and driver advocate, Lamar Sullivan. And in this spinoff, we're going to be talking to a few driver support people that you dispatch drivers know and love. So our first guest riding with us today is who I like to call the driver whisperer. You guys all have probably talked to him at some point. We got JJ here. Thank you for joining us, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hey, drivers, how y'all doing out there?
Yeah, thank you for joining us for sure. I was telling you before we hit record, you're one of the people that all the drivers, most of them know, and they bring you up all the time as like someone that's very helpful. They can call if they have issues, and you're very understanding when it comes to when you're calling them and you need them to take an order. You're willing to work with them on certain things, and so yeah, I just want them to get to know you a little bit.
Well, I just got my 6-year anniversary here with Dispatch. I started as a driver lead here in San Antonio. Had the highest SLA with the company because of just the simple things that I brought over to the DX side, and that is building relationships, communication. That is the key to working with drivers. Once you get to know these drivers and they know that you've got their back and that you're for real and you really care about their needs, they're there for you and they go out of their way for you. And I really feel that's why I built such great relationships with these drivers, because to me, they're more than just drivers. They're friends, and I can't tell you how many times I've talked to drivers and they say, hey, man, you need to come up here and visit me. I've got drivers in each state that want me to go see them, man. And you know what? I'm hoping one day I can go do that, man, and just hang out with them, and have a great time with them. And I love what I do, and I have a passion for what I do, and I think they see that, and I know that they're trying to make a living and support their families, man. So I'm there for them, and drivers learn right away with me, man. If you go out of your way and you make things happen, I'm going to make things happen. So it's a wonderful relationship that's been built, and I just want to continue to make it stronger and stronger.
Well, that's great, and that's kind of the experience that I've had with drivers as well. Is you are one of our values is transparency, and that I'm sure that's something that you kind of show in your role quite a bit, and that's something that's helped me with drivers as well, is that transparency and just being straight up with them. You're not always going to give them the answer that they're looking for or that they want, but as long as you're giving them a straight up answer.
And that's what it's all about. Just, you build that relationship with them and the trust. And I feel like once you get the trust, I mean, it's a win-win for them and it's a win-win for us, So, they're making money and we're being successful. And it's one thing I learned from my father. My father, he started in the railroad as a janitor, and he never got a degree. He ended up being the superintendent of the whole southern district of the railroad. And it was because he knew how to build relationships. We lived in a border town of Laredo, and he just really knew how to work with the Hispanic culture, and he did things that other people could never do. And that's because he built relationships, and that's what he taught me. And he goes, you treat people the way you want them to treat you, And, when the drivers see that and they know that you're for real and they really care, man, they go out of their way for you. I can't tell you how many times drivers have done things for me that it's just blown my mind. And that's why I'll always do what I can to make them successful.
Yeah, for sure. And to what you were saying earlier about, hopefully being able to go out and meet some people, we got, I think we'll end up having an event in your area this year. So would love to have you come out to that. And
oh man, that would be fantastic. I would love to do that. No doubt.
For sure. So look out for that. But just to get into the question, so just to backtrack a little bit, just tell me a little bit about your background prior to dispatch, kind of what you were doing for and what kind of brought you here.
Yeah, for 15 years, I got a degree in education. It actually was in kinesiology. I was a high school coach and a counselor. I started as a coach. I did that for 5 years, and then I transferred to a counselor. And what I found out doing that is they were very similar, you know. Just like with drivers, you have to build relationships with kids. I worked at a charter school. It was a tough school. You know, it was really challenging because some of the kids just didn't have the resources that other kids had. But I went into that school with a positive mind frame. I created dual credit programs so they could attend college when they never had the opportunity to do it. I showed them I cared, you know, and it went a long way with them. And I never had any issues with any of those kids, man, because they knew that I was there for them and I supported them, much like I do with the drivers, you know. And so I found this an easy switch for me because, you know, after 15 years, you kind of get burnt out in the education field. And, you know, my dad was in logistics, so I wanted to, hey, you know, I always felt like I knew I could be strong in logistics. And sure enough, it was like it was meant to be. And I slid right into this position. And all I did was transfer everything that I learned from doing education and coaching. Because as a coach, I was a motivator. That's what I did. I coached in a little town in Laredo on the south side. Never won a game in their lives. I went in there, we won 10 games in a row, man. We won district on the south side. And that, you know, it was a challenging. The south side was like, you know, the poorest area, you know, where kids were never taught that, hey, we can be successful and we can win. No, sir. You tell them they can believe in themselves and they will achieve and they will reach goals that no other people will reach, you know. And it's all about having to believe in themselves, you know. And it's a wonderful thing that I was able to instill in them. And from that point on, it was success. And that's transferred over into this job. And I feel like the relationship built with these drivers is dynamite. You know, I can't tell you how much I love this job. And that's why I've been here so long, because this is where I want to end the rest of my life. You know, I'm 60 years old now. I'm no spring chicken. But, you know, I'm willing to just end it here and I'll run it right off into the sunset and I'll be happy with, you know, with my accomplishments.
Love that. So how did you so what brought you to Dispatch? Like, how did you hear about it?
Well, I had went ahead and I put in my 2-week notice and, you know, I retired from education, you know, and I had a little nest egg saved. So I had a little time to look around and I just saw this little ad, Dispatch. You know, I saw it in Indeed, a matter of fact, is where I found it. And I applied with him. I said, hey, let me give it a shot, see what it's about. And sure enough, I can't remember the lady. She used to be here, and she did the interviewing, or she did the initial startup with us. She was a real nice lady. I just can't remember her name. It's been so long, buddy. But she gave me the opportunity to have an interview, and you know, I was the last one to be interviewed here in San Antonio for the driver lead position, and I got it. I got the position, you know, and that was my foot in the door. And once I got my foot in the door, I never looked back, you know. I take pride in what I do, and I'm not successful because I just sit around and look at things happen. I make things happen. And that's why I feel it's a difference. You got to love what you do, and you got to work hard at what you do. And if you do that, everything else will fall in place.
For sure. So you started off as a driver lead in your market in San Antonio, right? And so what was that like getting started, and what did you like, what didn't you like, and then tell me about what that transition was like going from the driver lead to joining the customer success team.
Well, the driver lead, you know, we start out fresh here in San Antonio. Houston had opened up a month before me, and I had built a good relationship with the driver lead there. He helped me tremendously, and he kind of told me the things, little thing. I don't know if you remember him, Thomas Marsh. You know, that guy was fantastic, man. He really kind of gave me the ins and outs on what you need to do. And you know, at the beginning, I was driving a van. You know, I was driving a Sprinter. You know, and I had 3 drivers part-time working under me, and once I found the right crew, you know, because I'm not going to lie to you, the first couple of weeks was kind of shaky with some of the drivers that I hired. You know, they weren't very successful. They really didn't want to work, and I had a lot of issues with them. But once I found that solid group that I knew would make this happen, it took off. It just took off. And one thing about being a driver lead, I always kept an eye on my market and what was going on in my market. Not only my drivers that were working with us, but independent drivers, contract drivers. I built relationships with them just like I do now. And that's where I feel like it's made it so easy for me to be successful doing what I'm doing now, because I was doing it as a driver lead, and my numbers were always in the 90% range because of that, because of the hard work and effort. And Thomas was always in that 90%. We were always battling each other, to see who could be at the top. But he taught me just little intricacies that you need to do to be successful. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was a little nervous going into customer service, because at first I was on the customer service side, and I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't a big fan of answering phones, and there's a lot of issues that arise that you have to handle, but you handle them with poise and confidence, and you try to make the customer happy, and it was working great. And then I remember one day Ryan Plague, he said, "Hey man, do you want to switch? Do you want to come over to the DX team and I'll go over to the CX?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." And man, ever since we did that, I haven't looked back. It's just been dynamite. It's just been fantastic. It's like I was meant to be here, Lamar. Meant to be in this position. And just meeting these new drivers, it's just awesome. It's just great. They're great people, hard workers, and I love to see them be successful, and I love to see them just take it to another level, because we're just not happy with mediocrity. We want to just excel.
Yeah, for sure. I can say I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing the drivers level up as well. Seeing drivers who are able to go from that car to a cargo van after being with us for a little bit, and kind of seeing what's working out there, what's not, and they're able to expand their business from there, or become fleet owners from just doing it themselves at first. And so I'm with you there on, just getting a lot of satisfaction out of seeing drivers succeed. And I very much feel like you, and this is where I'm meant to be, and helping out the drivers and that kind of thing. So I fully relate to you there.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen a driver progress, just like you were saying. They gone from a midsize to a cargo, and they'll ask me in that market, "What do you think? What do you suggest?" And I'll tell them, "Yeah, man, let's do it, bro. There's money to be made in that market." But if I saw something that I felt like, "No, you're not ready yet," and there's not the demand there yet, and I don't think you'd be able to support yourself. You got to do it the right way. And the ones that listen, boom, they took off. They excelled and shoot for the stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the drivers appreciate that kind of feedback of not just telling them, "Oh yeah, you can, go ahead and get a cargo van. They'll see more orders."
Well, like you said, transparency. Be honest with them, tell them the truth. And you won't have no issues.
For sure. So I feel like you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what traits do you feel like make a good driver support rep, just kind of in general?
Being a good communicator, man. You really have to communicate with your drivers and lay out the details of the order, because they're going to want to know what's the distance, what's the amount that it's paying, what's the amount on the order, is it like what's the weight, like stuff like that. You delve into little intricacies of the order, and you explain it in detail to them to make them understand. Listen, man, is this something that you want to do, or you feel like, nah, it's a little overwhelming, or it's a little bit out of my way, or anything like that. But if I could tell anybody doing this job, if you're a master communicator and a multitasker, sky's the limit, man. There's no doubt about it. Because those are the two key ingredients, I think, to be successful. You definitely got to know how to juggle.
That's for sure.
You're getting hit from so many different directions, but I love that. I thrive on that. That's what kind of makes me, sets me apart from others. I love a challenge, and I love to excel in challenges, and I just love to see dispatch grow. I can't tell you, Lamar, since I started 6 years ago, how far I've seen dispatch come, and it's just so awesome that I grew with them. And I just can't believe that I have this job this late in my life, to where I'm so happy. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I've had quite a few, let me tell you.
Yeah. So would you say some of those things that you just kind of talked about, the communication and that transparency, that those are the types of things that have helped you succeed in this role, or would you add anything else to that?
That's a lot. I think coming from the education background helped me a lot too.
Yeah.
Just the simple, a lot of things that compare, they're very similar. It's just a different age group.
Yes.
You deal with young adults, because in education I'm not gonna lie to you, I did from pre-K, I did elementary, I did middle school, and I did high school. And the only thing I didn't do was college. That was the only part that I didn't touch. But doing pre-K, I learned patience. Doing elementary, I learned patience. And then as junior high and senior high school, that's when I learned how to communicate, especially with the young adults, because a lot of times these kids would have issues with teachers, and the teachers would just go off on them and not knowing what happened to that kid that day,
Yeah.
And that's where I would come in and dig in and find out what's going on. What's the underlying issue? Why are we having these behavior issues? And a lot of the times, the kids were going through the things that the teachers had no clue, that, like maybe not eating at home or some kind of violence going on at home, that they did not know about. And that's the one thing you need to really, I really had to learn was, I have to find out what's triggering these behaviors, and just learning how to do that and figuring that out and talking to them and communicating with them and them seeing that I cared made all the difference in the world, and that's what took it to another level. And then, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Don't make me cry now more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see how that would translate to where you are now and kind of problem solving or troubleshooting with the drivers, and kind of getting to the root of why maybe they don't want to take a particular order, or what's it going to take for them to take a particular order. Like, I could see that really helping you in that.
Well, the one thing I learned is you never take no the first time. You just keep on chipping away,
Yeah.
And if they want to do it, they'll do it. They'll eventually do it. Because I've noticed that if you do it just one time and cut off, then okay, you're going to lose it right away. But I can't tell how many times I've saved orders by just hanging in there and just, chipping away at it and seeing what we can do to make this happen for you. And man, what a difference.
For sure. And so do you feel like, so what do you think, why do you think drivers trust you? I know we talked about the transparency part. Do you think that's what makes them trust you, or what do you think that is?
I think because they know I care, like I said, to me, this is not just a job. These aren't just employers or workers. I built relationships where these people are actually my friends, they become my friends, and they see that, and they see that I care, and that I truly care about what they're going through and what they're trying to accomplish. And I think that makes a big difference, because when they see that you're for real, then they're going to be real, and they're going to go out of their way for you. And I can't tell you how many times drivers have done things for me, gone 50 miles out of their way just to help me because I was there for them, and it pays off, and that's what I've learned. Always go the extra mile for them. Always help them to accomplish their goals. If they have an issue, try to solve it and just take it to another level. And that's what I've done. And I think that's what the drivers really, you'll hear a lot of good things from drivers, and because they see that, hey, JJ, you're the one that I can talk to. I can call you. I got numbers that they call constantly. And I said, you call me. That's what I do. Because I said, I don't want to bother you. No, you're not bothering me, man. I'm here to help you. That's my job. And they see that, and they respect that, and I respect them. And together, it's made all the difference. And like I said, I know I keep being kind of repetitive, going back towards my father, but he taught me so much, and to me, God rest his soul, he lived to 95. Wow. He was a great man. He flew on B-17s in World War II, man.
Wow.
So he accomplished it on his lifetime, and just to have that knowledge and learn from him has helped me be successful at what I'm doing.
Okay. So you got a great foundation of just being caring and kind of knowing how to communicate with folks kind of from your upbringing, and that's been
Well, my Hispanic background, that's just the nature of it. It's always very family oriented, and it's very strong in its values, and and reaching goals. No doubt about it. And I really feel that's been a big a positive in my life.
Okay, good. So how does it feel to you when drivers shout you and the team out? Like what is that what kind of reaction do you have?
Well, it makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
For them to acknowledge that, hey man, JJ, you're going out of your way for me, you're making things happen, that's telling me, hey, I'm doing something right. And I'm happy to make them happy, because when I see them being successful and making money and supporting their families and just being thankful every day, I can't tell you how many times they tell me, thank you, man, thank you for helping me and doing what you do. And what my response is? Thank you for what you do, because without you, we're nothing, and we can't accomplish nothing. So you guys got to understand, you're on the front lines, and anybody that's ever driven a van, it's worked out there, I think that's kind of helped me too, because I know what they go through. It's not about picking up a product and dropping it off. You got all kinds of other things that pop up. You can have a wrong address. You might get the wrong product. I mean, there's so many. I can't tell you how many times in a week that something would go wrong.
Mhm.
And the first thing you do is panic. So when they panic, that's when I want them to come to me, because we're gonna calm that down, and we're gonna get them back on track, and we're gonna make things happen.
For sure. So you're kind of the calming person that they can talk to and talk them off the ledge.
Exactly. Well, I'm like I said, I'm 60 years old now, and I've lived a life of having to just blow up on things that really didn't have to blow up on, because it was not necessary. So I don't let the little things get to me. I don't sweat the little things. I get the big picture.
Mhm.
And I think they see that, and they know that, and so they'll know right away I'm not going to panic, and then I'm not going to get them to panic. I'm, like you said, talk them off the ledge. Let's get this solved. Let's resolve this. Let's see what's going on here so we can make it happen.
Yeah.
And just doing that little extra, all the difference.
Yep. Yep.
If I could tell anybody that does this job, care about what you do and care about the people you work with,
Yeah.
and everything else falls into place.
Yeah. I know drivers remember everything. They know who's gonna give them the help that they need. They know who they want to avoid. So
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's great to hear that that they have a great thought process about what I do. They care, and they really care about what I do, and they're very appreciative. And like I said, it's a two-way street. I always tell them, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Mhm.
And together we'll be successful. And they all tell me the same thing. You know what, Jay? You're right. You're spot on, man. That's the way we make things happen.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. So what do you enjoy most about your day-to-day work?
I love the fast pacedness of it, because the day flies. I
Yeah.
can't tell you, I start at 4:30 in the morning. I'm an early bird.
Mhm.
So I'm hitting the East Coast. I live in Texas, so I'm in Central Time Zone. But just the fact that I get to just wake up, walk down my stairs, and jump on the computer and work is fantastic. Because all these years of commuting when I was younger, I don't miss that at all. You know what I mean? Working
Yeah.
at a home is the greatest, and I just, it's just, I just can't believe at this point in my life I got such a wonderful job and such a great situation. And dispatch was just starting up when I started. And I remember I was one of the first classes. Paul was one of the guys that was working here.
Yep.
And he did our orientation. There was about 8 of us. And I think we were the first class, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll never forget, Andrew was there, and he sat there and spoke with us. And it was just, I felt to myself, wow, this place is going to go somewhere. This company's going to go places. And I sure was heck not mistaken. That's for sure.
Yeah, we've grown quite a bit in those 6 years.
Oh my goodness, it's like night and day from the beginning, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah. And so So when you're doing your day-to-day stuff, what makes some orders harder to troubleshoot than others?
Probably the location of some of these orders. Sometimes you get orders that are like 50, 60, 70 miles out from the closest driver. Um, and the first thing you think of when you see that is, oh man, we're not going to make this happen. You get all frustrated. No, man, you don't do that. You dig deep and you see what you can do to make it happen, and you try every avenue. You reach out to several drivers, you put out bulk messages, and you'll be surprised on how many people might just bite and jump on it, If you gave up right away, then you would lose half your orders, you just be persistent. If I could say anything, just be persistent at what you do and just keep chipping away. Because if you take no for an answer, and you give up right away, then you're not going to be very successful doing what you're doing, But it can be frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you, because you want to make everything happen, but in a perfect world, everything's not going to happen the way you want it to happen. But you can sure as heck try to get close to it. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. And just from my time on the DEA team, I just remember, constantly trying to meet the driver in the middle of what they are trying to accomplish. So, if we can't necessarily bonus something all the way up to what the driver might want, but maybe there's a common ground here where we can still make our money, you make your money, and we can get the order done. So just kind of meeting them in the middle in some cases, that goes a long way for them.
It does, because you're showing that you're going to go that extra mile. You're gonna do that for them to help them to make the order happen. And like you just said, it's a two-way street. You have to come together to make things happen. And I've just seen it grow so fast, and it's so wonderful. And I keep meeting new drivers every day, and I let them know this is my direct line. You have any issues, call me. And I said, you can't reach me, text me. And we'll see what we can do. And I really feel like they see that, and that's why they reach out to you and tell you, they tell you wonderful things. But it's not only myself; it's our whole team. We have a wonderful team. Brendan is our leader. He does a great job of keeping us focused. Jamie just came on, and she's doing a great job. Jamal is fantastic at what he does. He does exactly what I do, but he does it in the afternoon. And the guy's, he's dynamite. He comes in and he just mops it up. I get it started and he mops it up. And we call him the closer. Because he closes it. I'm like the starting pitcher. Get out there and get us into the late innings, and boom, he nails it down.
Yeah.
To use a sports metaphor there for you.
Oh no, I like that. That's a good metaphor. Yeah, I'm hoping to meet Jamal this year.
Oh man, he's fantastic, man. He's just a great guy. And Ruben's a new guy on the team that just started. We got Kelly that's running Sunrun. She's fantastic. Jimmy, oh my God, Jimmy's fantastic. The guy,
Yes.
You have an issue, you reach out to him, and the guy's there. Boom. He responds right away, and he resolves your issue. Like, I'll have a driver get DI'd, and I'll ask him, hey, what happened? And he'll explain to me. And he goes, hey, but if you reach out to him and talk to him and communicate him, we'll get him back up. I say, hey, consider it done.
Yeah.
So especially if I know it's a driver that maybe he had a bad day, or something happening that got in his way of him being successful. Because everybody, even the great drivers, are going to have bad days. Everybody's going to have a bad day. I have bad days, but you don't harp on them. You just put them behind you and move forward.
Right, and that's one of the great things about having some veterans on the team, like you, like Jimmy, who kind of have seen kind of the evolution of these markets and certain drivers, and the history, they're really good most of the time. And so when things do go wrong with them, they might be having that bad day, you're able to say, maybe they should be suspended for now, but let's not fully deactivate them because it's just a bad day for them. They'll get it right.
And they learn from their mistakes, when something bad happens and they do get disconnected, because I can't tell you how many times you don't know what you have until you lose it.
Yeah.
And when you really depend on this to help you, supply your family and help them be successful, then it makes a difference. And you give them that second opportunity, they won't prove you wrong. They'll make it right, you know, and they'll do it right. And sometimes it's a good thing because it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
And like my dad would always say, you learn from your mistakes, son. That's how you get bigger and stronger at what you do. No doubt.
That's a good lesson. So what's a common challenge you hear from drivers when they chat in, and how do you solve it typically?
Probably that order doesn't pay enough. You know, that's a very common, you know, and sometimes they're not wrong. You know, I'll look at some box truck orders and I'll say to myself, my goodness, you know, because box truck orders are a whole different animal. Usually drivers that drive box trucks they have orders planned ahead of time, like a week, 2 or 3 days. It's not spur of the moment like here with our app. And that's why it's so challenging to get box truck drivers on orders, because it's so expensive to have insurance for them, first of all. And they eat so much gas. So there's just so many elements that go into having a box truck that makes it super challenging to just sit back and wait to make something happen. You know, you always have to have something planned, and 99% of the time they already have a scheduled order, or they already have something done. You know, it's just a way of working around it to try to make it fit into their busy schedule, you know. And I think that's what I love too, is just the challenge of getting box truck orders, because it's always a challenge. It's never an easy result. But once you find a good driver in each market that you already know you can rely on, and they see your number calling, boom, they answer that number, they answer that phone right away. What you got? What you got? What can we do? What can we make happen? Let's take a look at it, see what happens.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that, and my time on that team as well. Of once you got that one driver, you know, you can count on they might not be able to take the particular order right at that moment that you're calling them, but they might be like, yeah, just give me 20-30 minutes, and I'll be able to head that way. And you know, that's all you're looking for, is someone to fulfill the order, and we can kind of work with the customer to make sure they're not.
Let me give you examples. There's Isa in Chicago. The guy is a beast. The guy is just phenomenal.
You said Isa?
He says, yes. I'm sorry about my dog here. Oh my God. And he's great. I got Jameson in Pittsburgh. He's another driver that's phenomenal. Unbelievable. Jack Powell in Austin. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many drivers that I'm not even going to mention that they know what I'm talking about, and they get it, and they make things happen. And it's such a joy to watch a driver that's a professional.
Yes,
because you would hear from the customer on how they really enjoy the company of those drivers, because the way they talk to the customer, they're professionals. They're true professionals at what they do, and it's a joy to watch. Because when I was a driver, that's the way I wanted to be represented. That's the way I wanted to be known, as a professional that customers reach out or call out and say things about, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Now, I stress that to the drivers, that professionalism goes a long way. And for us, when you're talking with us and when you're talking to customers as well, it's very important.
And the thing about those drivers too, they're the type of drivers, they'll drive cargo vans, but they'll take our orders.
Yeah.
They'll take mid-side orders. They'll take pickup trucks. They take everything. And I got to be honest, those are the ones that make the big money, because they don't turn nothing down. They work. They just keep going, you know. And it's all about, hey, it's all about making the money to support your family, you know. And you're not picky about what you do. And sometimes you take the little ones. Hey, a big one's going to pop up, and it's gonna pay off for that little one you took, you know. Yeah. And for me, when I see them go out of their way and do things like that and take things that they don't need to be taken, or they don't, you know, they shouldn't have to take, that tells me that, you know, they're for real. And I'm going to feed them. I call it feed them, because I'll feed them orders. I'll feed them, and I'll look at it, and I'll look them out in each market and try to get them on orders, and they know already. So my number pops up on their phone. They already know. I never have an issue. It's so funny, because like a lot of the people that work with us, they'll call and say, hey, he didn't answer for me. I said, give me the number. Let me call him. Boom. You know, and he'll answer right away, you know, because they already know me, man. That's why. And it's just about building relationships, and like any other people that are other workers that do the same thing. Like Jamal, he's done that too now. In the afternoon, he's come on and built great relationships with drivers. They already know him too now. So That's what it's about. It's just the relationship, and you can be successful. There's no doubt about it. You can. You just got to want to be successful.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure. And so, kind of winding down here, a few more questions. Um, so, any memorable support stories that you can share with us? Any like crazy like driver situations that kind of came across, or anything you want to share with that?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Man, I can't tell you offhand. I've had so many things happen.
Yeah.
I can't just narrow it down to one, but there's just times where a driver will show up to a pickup. They say that it was only one pallet and it's three pallets of tile, and they already want to bail on you because it's a lot of weight and it's hard work, and that's where you try to just calm them down and say, listen, man, we'll put an adjustment for that extra weight that you've got, and we'll make it worth your while. We're not going to just have you do more work with that wasn't shown on the order, and that's not fair to you, and just show them that you're fair about the
Yes.
order, and you got to be fair about everything you do. And when you're fair, I mean, that's when they'll do everything. They go out of their way. I just can't tell you how many times, Lamar, how they'll just go out of their way. That's probably the favorite thing for me, is that they just go out of their way for me and help me as much as I can. And that's why I'll do anything in my power to help them, regardless of whatever situation they might be in. I'm going to help them. I'm going to try to help them be successful.
Good, good. And so, what advice would you give drivers from a support perspective? Just any driver out there that's wanting to be a successful driver on the road with us. What kind of advice would you give?
I would tell them to just have an open mind about taking any order they see, regardless of how big or small it is. Just, I know sometimes it might be worth the money to do it, but it accumulates because you do one after another, and before you know it, those small orders have built a pretty good nest egg for you, and then all of a sudden, boom, the big ones come, because I can't tell you how many times I'll have drivers reach out, hey man, you got a big order, send it my way. And I tell myself, okay, I don't have a problem doing that, but I got to see you go out of your way,
Right.
you got to prove to me that you're going to do that. And 99% of the drivers do that for me. They'll prove to me, hey man, I'm willing to do the little things to make the big things happen. And it's awesome. It's a great thing to see. And you see right away, you develop those relationships to know which ones will go out of their way and do that for you.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely do know. So just last question here. Anything else that you'd like to share about, your journey here at Dispatch, or anything you'd like to share with drivers, or just any last words that you want to share with the drivers?
I just want to let all the drivers out there know, man, you've got my number. I'm here for you. Let's keep getting stronger and stronger. Let's keep being more successful, guys. I mean, if you need me, I'm here for you. You got my number, and if you don't have my number, reach out, and we'll find a way to get you my number. But if you want to be successful, I'll help you be successful. But you got to want to do it. If I could tell a driver, it's not for everybody. I can't tell you contract driving is for everybody. You got to have the right mindset.
Yes.
Because like I said, it can get so frustrating sometimes. It's real easy to quit and bail and say, yeah, I give up. I don't want to do this. Or there'll be a point in time where you might not be making any money, but just be patient, and it will come, and that's probably the greatest skill that I've learned from the drivers, is the ones that are patient and let it come to them are the ones that are pretty darn successful, man. And I really feel that every driver can be successful. They just have that right frame of mind,
Yeah. I would say the same thing. The mindset is the biggest thing.
It makes all the difference in the world, and when you're on the same page with them as the mindset, it's so easy, Lamar. I can't tell you how easy it is, man. I literally will be working the board, and I'll get calls from drivers that I didn't even see the order. Hey, I'm right here. I'll grab it, brother. Boom. Maybe put $5 on it just to make it a little worth their while for reaching out to me and make it happen. boom, they're all over it, so half the time I'm not even looking, because half the time I'm getting calls from drivers,
Mm-hmm.
telling me, hey, I got this, I got that, I'll go out of the way, I'll go do this. And I always say, I love you guys, I love you.
Yeah, it makes your job really easy then.
Oh my goodness, man. They make me look good, and it's not me, it's them,
Right.
And I tell them that too, man, that I appreciate them. And I'll always greet a driver with, how you doing this morning? Be courteous to them, and just, if you start out the conversation positive, it goes positive the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's the little things when you're talking to them that they remember.
They value that, and it's like you're personable, and they see that and they know. And for me, it's like the caring. Like I said, I want to go to all these states, and I want to go visit Kelly in Colorado and go fishing and hunting with him. Man, he's sent me pictures of his his little adventures, and because I'm a big hunter.
Okay.
I hunt, here in Texas. We hunt whitetail deer down in some ranches down by where I used to live in Laredo. It's a border town.
Okay. I didn't know that was a big hunting area. I didn't really...
Yeah, down the whitetail deer are super big down here in Texas. They're really big deer.
Okay.
Yeah, my biggest one was a 12-pointer, and it had a nice spread, about 250 pounds. You get that buck fever, your heart starts beating.
Yeah, I mean, the hunting is really big up here in Minnesota. So
yeah, like Forrest too. Him and I share the same birthday, but I'm a little older than him.
Yeah.
But we have so much in common. It's funny, how when we talk to each other, and we used to work really close together. And he's kind of gone a different way, and I've gone a different way. But we've always kept that good relationship. And he's always told me, "Come on, we'll go fishing. We'll have a great time."
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, I want to visit all these people, man. One day, hopefully, I'll be able to visit all these guys, and we'll And what I love about this interview, Lamar, is you're putting a face with a voice.
Yes. Yeah.
So then they'll see what I'm about, and they already know what I'm about, and I'm all about caring and sharing. So.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Like you said, putting a face to the voice, and I know drivers will love to hear about your background and that kind of thing. So thank you for joining us. We'll get this up pretty soon here, and that'll conclude this episode of Conversations with Drivers, Driver Support Edition.
Well, Lamar, I appreciate what you're doing and getting us out there for the drivers, for they can see it. I appreciate what you're doing right now. And when you mentioned this to me, I said, heck yeah. I want to go out there and talk to these guys and tell them that I really care. And I just want them to be so successful, and this company to be so successful, because I know sky's the limit with this company. Sky's the limit. And if I didn't believe that, I would have been gone a long time ago.
Right. And thank you for saying that. Yeah, my thought in trying to do this was, we were starting to get in some of the spotlights that I was doing. You guys were getting shouted out and pretty much everyone that I was doing. So I'm like, okay, maybe people want to hear from these folks that they like to chat with and feel like are very helpful. And obviously you're the number one person that gets brought up in these conversations. But I hear Sunny's name quite a bit, hear Nicole's name quite a bit, Brianne's name every so often when she was here. And so yeah, I just thought, let's give the drivers an opportunity to hear from these folks, and what makes them tick, what makes their job, what they love about their job. And I'm glad that you're able to do this, and I appreciate it a lot.
Well, it makes you know that you're doing something right.
Yes.
When you have people praising what you're doing, that's telling you you're doing something right and you're on the right track. And all we do is build from that, no doubt. And Lamar, once again, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story. Thank you so much, and just keep doing what you're doing, because I think what you're doing is a wonderful thing. Definitely.
Well, thank you, and you too as well. And we'll connect later. So thank you for joining us today, and yeah, we'll talk soon.
And drivers, let's keep kicking it. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Keep making dispatch number one.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on the road.
Peace out, guys. Have a great one, man. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.